In more ways than one, 2020 is challenging the very way we think. And one entrepreneur and journalist is taking this moment to have some tough conversations with his captivating new program, The Carlos Watson Show. And Carlos himself joins us now with the details. Carlos, good morning to you.
Alex, thank you for having me. Good morning.
First question to you, do you feel that this pandemic, despite how awful it is, has served a sort of a catalyst for this massive social change we're seeing?
No doubt about it. I mean, obviously, lots of factors, including, unfortunately, the sad deaths of Breonna Taylor and George Floyd and others. But I do think that the confluence of all these things, the pandemic, now the recession, all of that is added to the social justice movement. And I think people are rethinking what society should look like. I think 2020 in many ways is the new 1968.
Yeah, that's a very good way to put it. Now, you have an incredible slate of guests on this show, and among them is former press secretary Sean Spicer, along with his take on the Black Lives Matter movement. Now, why is it important that we hear even from someone with his history?
You know, I think one of the things that I want to do in this moment is bring a wide array of people into the conversation, whether it's an author like Malcolm Gladwell or a TV star like Terry Crews or an entrepreneur like Bethany Frankel or a Politico like Sean Spicer. So it was helpful to hear, you know, back in the 60s, LBJ, who had been a Southern segregationist, surprised the young civil rights activists of the time in adopting their language and saying, "We shall overcome." And so it was interesting in my conversation with Sean Spicer to hear him talk about Black Lives Matter and ultimately say Black Lives Matter, which may seem like a small thing to some people, but ultimately in many ways kind of big and symbolic. So I think it's important to hear from him. I think it's important to hear his thoughts. I realize that for many Americans, what he did as press secretary has decredentialized him and made him someone that they're hesitant to hear from. But I thought it was important to hear from someone who for so long has been very close to the President of the United States.
Yeah, I think listening to every angle is very essential. And what other highlights stand out to you from your many interviews?
You know, there were so many. I mean, I loved hearing from Beyonce's mom, and I think there were so many things about her life. She was a young would-be singer as a young woman, but gave that up because of some family issues. But I think it spawned in Beyonce that thing, and so the second generation carried it on. I love some of the actors I got to speak to. People like Maggie Siff, who you see on Mad Men and Sons of Anarchy and Billions, was really great. She was kind of a late in life actor, so that was kind of fun to hear her backstory on that. So we heard from a lot of good folks who I've just enjoyed getting to know. Baker Mayfield, the quarterback of the Cleveland Browns, was once a 5'2" kid whose teacher was dissuading him from ever thinking about professional sports as a way out, and it was interesting to hear his path forward.
Clearly, there's so much to learn. There's so many voices to hear. Carlos, congratulations on the show and for putting all of this on a platform where people can really start to understand what's going on in the country and what's next for America. Thank you for joining me.
Thank you. My pleasure.
And stay right where you are. The Morning Blend will be right back.